What I've done to make things a little bit less boring, I try my best, sometimes it's hard, is I've written some basic structural code so you don't have to watch me do this. So I've got my little welcome screen here. I've got my while loop, got my main menu printed out. By now, this should look really familiar to you, okay? Because we've done this a lot of times. Then I'm asking, what do you want to do? It's going for a menu choice there, and I have a branch for each menu choice, and of course, that's not a valid menu option. Okay, so that's the code I have so far. I'm going to start developing my classes up here. Your classes should always be developed at the top of your code in a single place so that they are all together. That's really, really useful and helps with organization. But you want your classes to be defined before. Now, if you're importing something, you want to import that up here above the classes. But I'm not importing anything right now, so I don't need to worry about that. So let's start with the generic bank account class. So I need to create a balance and a name when I create the account. So I'm going to start with my initialization. Define my initialization. And I'm going to ask for str name, and I'm not going to ask for a balance. I'm just going to start the balance at 0. So I'm going to say self dot fl balance equals 0, self dot str name equals, and I'm going to say strn. So there's my generic bank account initialization, which gives me these two. So I need a deposit, a withdrawal, and a check balance. For my check balance, I'm going to use the string method to return the name of the account and the balance for that account. So I'm going to say def string method, and I'm going to return an f string that says str name, and I'm going to left justify that in a line of 20, and I'll use periods to separate the characters. And then I'm also going to return, and I should be saying self here, and I'm going to say self dot fl balance. I'll put a $sign in front of it, and then I'm also going to say .2f for the formatting code, and then I'm going to say rjust. There we go. And I'll say 20 and periods. There we go. So there is my ability to show the balance. So now I just need to withdraw and deposit. Now this is where you might want to reuse some of your code from the previous assignment. But I'm just going to go from scratch here. So I'm going to say def do deposit. And I'm going to say str amount equals how much do you want to deposit? Okay, that's got to be an input. And since it's a string right now, I want to check it. So I'm going to say if str amount dot replace, and I'm going to replace the first period in there with nothing, and just the first one. And I'm going to say is numeric. So if I can take one period out and that amount is numeric, then I'm going to go ahead and go for it. So I'm going to say self.fl deposit, or FL balance, sorry, plus equals, and I'm going to say float str amount. So I'm going to change it to a float before I add it to that balance. And then I'm going to say print you deposited FL or str amount in self.str name. Okay, so there's that. Withdrawals, very similar. So let's do a little copy and paste here to get us started. It won't do everything for us. Do withdrawal. Okay, so we're going to do withdrawal. The amount, how much do you want to withdraw? We want to make sure it's numeric. And up here, I'm going to give a error message. I didn't do that before. So let's just make sure you must enter a valid amount. So we'll copy that back down here too, so we have that. Withdrew from and minus equals. Okay, but we remember when we do a withdrawal, we have to check to make sure that we have enough money in there. So there's a quick check we do here. Inside this if, I'm going to say if self.fl balance is greater than float str amount, then we can do the deposit. And else print, and we'll say you don't have enough money in self.str name. Okay, so now I'm using this nested if structure. The first thing it checks for is if they entered a valid amount. If they entered a valid amount, then after that I check to see if they have enough money. And then if they don't have enough money, it gives them that error message. And if they don't enter a valid number, it gives them this error message. So I'm using 2 steps of look before you leap, and that would be considered error handling there. I could do a try and a catch, or try and accept, but I think this way is a little bit more straightforward in terms of handling the different kinds of things that can go wrong there. So now I've got the balance, I've got the name, I've got the ability to check balance, withdraw, deposit. There's my bank account class. Okay, so there's my starter generic class, and I don't want this. Why is that there? Okay, so there is my bank account, and